You see the role of AI, especially in the services industry, and what are some of the things if people who are entering at this point of time they should be learning if they want to leverage it?
AI is the key to growth. Again, it's a myth that AI is coming in, so will not have work. Where the human factor comes in is to have it working hand in hand, where the code is given, but the coder is able to make out how this fits into the environment that the customer is running. Is there integrations? Is there middleware? How do I connect this code to that? Will it have a larger impact on the overall
Right.
architecture that is there? All this can be brought in only by a human, right?
How do you feel that perception towards women leaders has changed compared to say 20 years before?
Huge shift in the mindset of the woman. Okay,
Right.
I've seen that people who are striding forward, they can talk. Believe me, there is no glass ceiling for them, and they can move forward, right?
How you make sure that you are keeping pace with the dynamic changes?
I never stayed in a role for more than 2 years. I always made it a point. Once I got into being employed, I always change my role every 2 years once, or 2.5 years, upgrade my skill and move ahead.
Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Growthcast podcast. And this series is dedicated to understand more from the personal and professional life of working professionals such as you and me. And today I have Shweta with me. First of all, Shweta, thank you so much for taking out time. And before I start probing into the questions, would like to understand where you are based out of, the role you are currently in, and what are some of the new things that you are learning these days.
Thanks, Shashank. So, Shweta Raghavendra here. I am based out of Bangalore, and I love exploring things. I've been in 21 years in IT now, so learning is a constant thing. So I've become a legend here. So now, recently, what I'm doing is I have put my hands on Oracle. So I'm trying to learn some of the Oracle Cloud Analytics and how it works. So that has been of keen interest to me. And second is, of course, the data is something that amazes me all the time. So I'm
Right.
exploring, different tools and, technologies that is coming in.
Got it. I think 21 years is a big time in IT industry. So would like to
Yes.
understand how your career journey started. What was your first job and what are some of the changes or pivots that you have made along the way?
Sure, Shashank. Yeah, 21 long years. I started in 2003 in
Hmm.
HP, right? If you remember in 2000 and 2003, there were a lot of, technical support roles that used to come in for HP, Dell and all that. That's when, the boom happened. So I joined in HP as a technical support specialist. I used to support cameras and printers, right? Your all-in-one printers. So that's how I
Right.
started my journey. As a part of my job role, one of the key things is to do sales also, right? If you remember, whenever we are having a technical support by end of the call, we ask them, do you want A4 sheets or cartridges?
Right, right.
And that's how I developed the passion for sales. So I used to do the sales, and we used to get paid for each sale that we make. So that's how I started my journey, Shashank.
Got it. And first job was HP, and after that, are there any more switches or changes that you made along this journey
Yes.
that you'd like to share?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. In HP, I was there for 1.5 years. Then I got an opportunity to work with Unisys,
Mhm.
where I stayed there for 3 years, and I grew to become, from a senior SME. I joined in, but in 3 years, I did become a manager where I was leading a team of 60-member team, right,
Nice.
for infrastructure support. Then I got an opportunity in 2008 to join TCS. So that's where, I had a very long term with them for about 16 years,
Oh,
went through
nice.
various roles, various experiences. Mostly I started in delivery, but I've been, part of pre-sales and sales throughout my journey, right? And that's my passion. I want to continue in the same line. And after 16 years, I joined into Capgemini. So today it's been a year now for June that I'll be completing a year here.
Nice, nice. So, Shweta, you have been in the industry for 21 years. So, what are kind of changes you are seeing? Like previously, when hiring used to happen, what kind of skills recruiters were looking compared to if today you are looking out for a candidate? Is there any difference or how it has evolved?
Huge difference, Shashank, huge difference. See, earlier when we used to do hiring, it was all based upon the skill set, the technology, what they bring to table, and we used to, of course, the trainings were used to be there for communication and, getting them into corporate. But today, if you see the skills, the technology is divergent, right? Every day the technology is
Right.
changing, dynamic. So there is a lot of scope for people who are coming in, to put their hands on into a lot of skills. But what is happening today is more or less the people who are coming with 5 years, less than 5 years of experience, I see them that they're everywhere, right? And they want to
Right.
make quick bucks. You could see that, their resume shows 1 year somewhere, 6 months somewhere, 8 months somewhere, and they don't have a skill that I can hire them on. And
Right.
I very, when I nowadays, earlier we used to do only technology interviews.
Right.
If you really look at it, but today the management round takes a longer time. We want to understand whether they're going to stay for long or what do they want to learn or they're passionate. So a lot of conversation I have on that front. One, two is communication is becoming a very commendable skill today. It's something
Right.
that people should invest on, because
Right.
today, even earlier people used to say if you're a manager you talk to customers, right? But today even a person who is doing a development or even talking at a call center, whatever it is, they speak to customer directly, right? They
Right.
need to know the domain and they need to be able to talk to customers. So that is second very important thing. And third thing is I always want to know what is it that they're looking forward for when they join a company, right? It's like a
Right.
family. You need to learn things as you grow. It may be 1 year or 2 year that you stay with us, but you need to know where you are heading out to. That shows your passion to work and to be salaried. That is what I feel is most important.
Yes, yes, and I think coming from your experience of so much long tenure in the industry, this is something that candidates should also look at. But
Yeah.
if I look at your journey, you would have seen IT services evolving. So how
Yes.
you make sure that you are keeping pace with the dynamic changes, because in an industry which is continuously changing, you also need to put your thinking hat on, and then you also need to optimize
Right.
at different points in your career. How you went about it?
Good question, Shashank. See, if you look at my, career, I never stayed in a role for more than 2 years. I always made it a point once I got into being employed. I always change my role every 2 years once or 2.5 years, upgrade my skill and move ahead. So if you know, when I was in delivery, I was stagnant like everybody else, right? I used to have a
Right.
team, then it was 45-member team, then 60-member team. Then there was a time in 2010, I had a team of 600 people, right? And I just called it as quits. After that, it was like just the team is growing. I was a people manager and I wanted something more. Now this is where I took a turn. Now, other than changing the role, I wanted to know how I can upgrade and skill myself, right? If you remember,
Right.
in 2000 sorry 2013 2014, Google released their Google Worksuite, and
Right.
Microsoft came up with their Worksuite for employees, right? So 365, what
Right.
it was, what it is called today. So the team in TCS was setting up practice for workplace services. So that
Hmm.
included everything, your service desk, field services, support for the cloud, because cloud was coming in that time, 2012, that time.
Right.
So I pitched in to say, what can I bring for them, right? I wanted to become a practice head, and I wanted to be part of that practice, or lead it or be a SME in whatever shape and form. So I
Right.
got selected into that. I moved into pre-sales. Now my journey started up really good after that. I've been meeting customers. So I upgraded myself into Google to learn the technology, to learn what is coming new. So I've been in cloud. I, bought in those to my customers. I was in pre-sales. So if you know pre-sales, I had to work on RFP. So I need to know the solutions. I need to
Right.
know the technology, right? So I kept
Right.
on upgrading. Then there was a time when I moved, I wanted something more. Now, this is where the twist comes in, right? I see people with 10 to 12 years of experience who are in technology all the time. They want to move above the ladder, but what they don't invest is they're mastering the skills like
Right.
negotiation, public speaking, storytelling. These are the ones I would suggest anybody over 12 years to start putting some effort into that, because that helps you to grow. That is where I moved in as a client partner to one of the large airline companies, and I used to sit with the CXOs over there. So
Right.
constantly now, instead of looking at only cloud and small parts, I was looking at enterprise wide, right? I had to
Right.
learn what the customer is using and how we can bring in the technology. That helped me out a lot. So 7 years, I was part of as a client partner for airlines and then telecom company. Now I moved into ERP because now I wanted something new. So I moved into ERP. Now I take care of managed services for SAP, Oracle, and Workday. So that's what I do in Capgemini. So I've been changing my, roles and what I learn.
Very valid point, because at times I feel when people become too comfortable in their role, then there is friction
Yes,
also, that if I leave this, what will
correct.
happen in the new role. and that is where then they face challenging situation. But
Right.
Shweta, also throughout the journey, you have managed so many people. So what kind of people stand out in terms of their career growth? Because you might have seen people doing really well and progressing, and then there might be people who would be not having a very stagnated growth or maybe not
Right.
so high growth. So what is the difference between these two? Especially, I want to understand from services sector, because this is one sector that employs majority of our youth. So if they are entering into workforce, they should know that how is this they
Right.
can differentiate them. Right.
Right. Good question, Shashank. This is something that, see, I also mentor, women,
Right.
in public speaking and, sales. What I've seen is, out of 100 people, if you take 100 people, I see only 20 or 25 who's striding forward. They just not come and speak to me and the higher ups, but I've seen a couple of things that these 20 or 20%, 25 odd percent people do, right? One is they're very keen about learning. Okay,
Right.
they want to understand. They lot of people, some people know. They'll say, okay, I've come into Azure, before it, but some people don't know because they have done five different roles and they don't know. So they approach us, and that is passion for learning. They want to know they're here. How do I upgrade? What does the company give me? See, you're part of a larger community. You need to utilize it, right?
Right.
Certifications, trainings, all that, right? So connect with your higher ups, connect with your learning and development, and move forward. Next important thing I've seen is, building your network. What I've seen is this 20% of the people, you name it and they know the people in the company, whether it is there 3 months or 6 months, they make it a priority
Mm.
to go ahead and build their network inside the company because they're new into the company. Or if
Right.
they're in the company for a long time, build your network outside. Extend
Mm.
your, be in LinkedIn, talk to people, talk to, I take out my time to talk to a lot of people on LinkedIn, right? I just connect with them. Hey, can I ask 10 minutes from you? Anybody who's,
Right.
higher up, who's VP, executive VPs, because that's how I learn of what is going
Mm.
on in the industry. That is a second trait. Third is important thing is, how you're flaring up to the changes, right? Today, if you see a lot of dynamic changes in the company, people are very reluctant, the moment you say, no, not this project, next project, they'll start shaking. Not this location, next location, they'll start shaking. So how do you make it happen is have a commendable communication with your higher ups. What is art of possible? What is not possible? What will take time? So these
Right.
three things you have to look out for. That is your first part of the group. Now let's talk about the next 75%, right? Now this is where the people manager comes in. Talk to them. There are people who are in that 75%, you'll still have that 15 to 20% whom you can push to the next category. So they need help and support. So identify them, talk to them, have once in a week conversation, have fortnightly conversation, set targets for them so that they can start meeting it. That's called milestones. So that's
Right.
that's my approach, Shashank. Maybe people have multiple one, but this has worked really well for.
No, I think that's great, and somebody watching this will definitely try to replicate, and they will definitely see success. But you are also a women leader who has been in the industry for 21 years. How do you feel that perception towards women leaders has changed compared to, say, 20 years before? Do you see the shift happening? Are people embracing it, or there are still some challenges that we as a country need to solve for?
From my perspective, a lot of things have changed, Shashank. Earlier, when I used to see, when we joined IT, I used to see people in, team leader, semi-team leader, maybe a manager, and then they go for a break, or they come back, or they want to take when they have kids, and then they fall
Right.
back to say, no, I don't want to take. Let me be an auditor, internal auditor, or let me be
Mm.
a coach, a trainer, right? But today, what has happened is I see a big shift. I see people in sales, people who are going ahead and meeting customers across the countries, right? People who are
Mm.
stepping forward to say, let me talk to the, CEO and come back, let me strike a deal, let me negotiate these contracts. Huge shift in the mindset of the woman. Okay.
Right.
I've seen that, people who are striding forward, they can talk. Believe me, there is no glass ceiling for them and they can move forward, right? So it's all about keeping an open mind. I keep telling the people that I mentor, as long as you keep your mind open, you can start moving forward. Even see, I am a single parent. I've been single
Mm.
parent for 14 years. So you can imagine my journey was so difficult, but nothing stopped me. There are highs, there are ups. You
Right.
had to take, see, I'm compared to a man or my male colleague, I am not able to grow as fast as them, but I have seen a
Right.
significant growth. There are
Right.
times when my baby was small, when I took up smaller roles, then I grew. I have mentors, my bosses who are very nice to me. I had a
Right.
nice growth, right? They gave me, I have traveled 8 different companies, I've visited doing presentations to most of the CXOs and CEOs. So that opportunity was given to me. Now today my son is a teen. He is entering 10. So I've taken a step back. I'm into pre-sales because I cannot travel much. So I still
Right.
have a companies who are supporting me. It's all about the skill and the maturity and the experience that you bring to the table, right? So I would suggest all the women employees to start opening up their wings, start talking more, and see what is the
Right.
art of possible. Not just be in their cocoon to say, oh no, I have 3 kids or 2 kids, my baby is small, but see next plan for the bigger future. So that's how
Right.
I would recommend Shashank.
Got it. Got it. I'll move to slightly different tangent now, Sweta. So what about
Mhm.
your financial planning? When did you started investing? Was it in your first job, second job, and how has been your journey there?
Yeah, that's a good question, Shashank. See, when it comes to financial planning, see, I started sometime in 2012, 2014 when my son was born, right? And
Right.
being a single parent, I had to manage the whole household appliance, expenses, ends, right? Earlier, I just used to spend. I bought a house, I bought this, I bought that, and things were like all ad hoc. Okay.
Right.
Now, what I did is I have a I follow a rule called as 50%, 30%, 20%. You could have heard
Right.
about this, but applying it every month, uh, you know diligently will really help you out. 50% is for all your needs, right? Your rentals, your groceries, utilities, kids tuition fees and all that. Put your 30% for your wants, like you want to die in vacations, you want to buy that nice bike, whatever you want to do. Third is very important, is put your 20% for saving. Okay,
Right.
always put for your early retirement. It can be for that international vacation that you are planning for, your SIPs, ETFs. Please, reach out to people. There are a lot of websites today. Earlier, when we were there, we had to go to a CA, but today there is a lot of
Right.
Instagram accounts, lot of YouTube places where they teach you how to do it. If you don't want to invest, you don't have money, but you can still look out for small ETFs as small as 200 rupees or 500
Right.
rupees. So it should not stop you from investing. So that 20% goes into big picture that you are planning for in next 10 to 12 years. It's very important. So this is my 50, 30, 20 rule, Shashank. That is what I use.
Yeah, I think diligently sticking to it is very important, as you rightly told,
Right.
because
Yeah.
early in the career, people feel ki salary is coming and then salary is going. That's it.
Yes.
There is no saving in
Correct.
between.
One other thing I wanted to highlight, Shashank, to the people that I keep speaking, because this is very important. People, they don't know their paychecks, they don't know their pay slips. If I
Right.
ask anybody, who comes in, I'm telling you, out of 10 people that I interview, only 3 or 4 can answer when I say, what is your take home? What has been the taxes that you're paying? Is there any deductions? They have not seen their salary slip. So I would suggest people to please use a Excel sheet. Be a old school. You want to use a book, please do that. But please look at your salary slip every month, first week of the month, and make a note of what is coming into your hand, what are the
Right.
deductions. Then only you can plan this 50, 30, 20, 100, whatever you want to do. Otherwise, you're just left somewhere, trying to achieve something that you cannot.
Yeah, I think HRA, gratuity, these are the concepts that people know of, but they generally
Correct.
don't tend to understand it
Yes.
fully. I think now I come to the last question. So there is a lot of chatter and word around AI. What do you see the role of AI, especially in the services industry, and what are some of the things if people who are entering at this point of time they should be learning if they want to leverage it?
That's a fantastic question, Shashank. AI is the key to growth. uh, you know Again, it's a myth that AI is coming in so will not have work. But how you need to start looking at is, how can you use AI alongside with what you're working today, right? So
Right.
if you see some of the developers today, you have tools, AI tools, which can give you the coding. It can only give you the code. It cannot help you to know what is a domain context. I'll tell you where the humans are required. See, when I enter something into AI and I ask it for a code, right? People are saying now the developers will be eliminated, everything will be taken over by AI. Sorry, it's a myth. Where the human factor comes in is to have it working hand in hand, where the code is given, but the coder is able to make out how this fits into the environment that the customer is running. Is there integrations? Is there middleware? How do I connect this code to that? Will it have a larger impact on the overall
Right.
architecture that is there? All this can be brought in only by a human, right? One.
Right.
Two is that people say, once the AI comes in, jobs will be taken over, and presentations will be made by AI. You just have to go and speak. That's a wrong notion. Say today I work for financial services, right? So whenever I go to take a solution, the Azure remains the same, Google remains the same, but what is it that it gives? for that particular domain, only a human can relate and bring out that, right?
Yes.
So it can be for financial services, a banking customer. Cybersecurity is very important for them, right? Security compliance is very important for them. How do we bring that context? How do we ensure the solution meets the customer needs? That's where we humans come in. So considering these factors, my suggestion is one is please go ahead and invest yourself to learn one of the things like Azure, AI or
Yes.
Google AI, because it's going to be a good base for you. Second is if you're into any of the domains, say telecom domain or any of those domains, then learn the domain really well, because that will help you to grow in your ladder really fast in that particular place.
Got
I
it,
don't know
got
if
it.
that answered your question.
I placed the foundation right that it can be a
Yeah,
co-pilot, and if you want it to be co-pilot, then you have to upskill yourself definitely. I
yeah,
think with
absolutely.
that, I'm done with my set of questions. Thank you so much, Shweta, for taking out time. It was great interacting with you.
Thanks, Shashank. Thanks for giving this opportunity. I hope I shared some tips that can help people. So that's all I wanted from this opportunity.
For sure, for sure. With that, I'll stop it. I think this will